think we both like to think of ourselves as people who can take a step back and realize what our limits are. Or maybe it's just neurosis, but yeah, I feel like I'm not a very anxious person in general.
Yeah.
Like, I don't feel pressured to do a lot of things, like, internally. I don't feel myself pressuring myself to do things and worrying about not doing them.
What's that like?
I guess that's a really weird way of describing it.
Sounds good. It sounds like a good way to be. Help, please.
Okay, here's what you do.
Mm-hmm.
There's a book. There are a few books by a writer named Epictetus, who is an ancient Greek Stoic. And he's crazy, like a lot of the Stoics were, because the philosophy is very rigid. But it's very useful, I think, psychologically, to read it. I read some of his writing in college, and he's very far away from us, time-wise and culture-wise, but I feel like it changed my perspective on a lot of things and made me a less anxious person and more willing to not worry about what I'm doing or where I am.
What in particular did he say?
You should try to divorce yourself from your own urges and your own feelings about things in the world. You should try to separate yourself from your possessions, your relationships. So it was really extreme because a lot of it involved anecdotes about somebody's wife dying, and they advise him, they say, don't be so sad about your wife dying, or somebody's house burning down and saying, your possession is only superficially yours, what's really yours is your virtue and your mind, and so you never really had a house in the first place, so you shouldn't be sad about losing it. So that leads to like a very calm mindset because you're not invested in a lot of things. You're not invested in the world around you. I don't know. If you're constantly investing yourself in things you're going to do or things around you or people around you to such an extent that your happiness solely relies on those things, when you lose those things, which you will, at least some of them, then you're going to lose yourself. But if you are stoic, then you know that you still have yourself because you have your own virtue and your own mind still. It's not just a matter of in the moment choosing not to feel something, it's just a matter of like thinking about it for a while and reading and thinking about a bunch of things and almost conditioning yourself to care less about the world. And that sounds like really solitary and boring, but still care about the world, but don't stake your whole existence on the world. I knew somebody in college who was like really afraid of death, like really, really afraid of death, like in a way that she couldn't like sleep at night sometimes because she would start thinking about it, and it was just like a seed that she would plant in her mind, and it would just like she could not stop thinking about it the entire night, and she just wouldn't sleep because she'd be sitting there like terrified of not existing, which is going to happen, and she knew it was going to happen. So it would just like take over her body and stop her from falling asleep and just like scare the crap out of her.
Do you think about dying?
I used to a lot more than I do now. Like I used to be afraid in that way, not that extreme, but when I was like in middle school or elementary school, I used to like think about it sometimes and be really afraid of it and just be like seized by fear of not existing. But I don't know, if you don't exist, you're not there to know that you don't exist. It's a silly thing, but I don't know. Those are not comforting words to somebody who is really afraid of dying. Don't tell them to be stoic if they're in a moment of fear. It doesn't help. Don't say don't be afraid to somebody who's afraid.
Hacking your face might kill.
It's because I have the whiskey.
Yeah, there's whiskey in the other room. Plenty of whiskey for it to drown in.
Just get me some like bug spray and spray me with it.
I don't have bug spray. I have hairspray. Should I spray
hairspray? Does not repel bugs.
No, it doesn't, does it?
No, it would just make my hair look good, which nobody wants.
What hair? Where's your hair?
Okay. Into that one.
That was mean.
No, I walked right into that one. That was my fault. That was totally my fault for you insulting me, so.